Talofa lava, this is Pacific Waves from RNZ Pacific. I'm Susana Suisuiki. Coming up, calls for New Zealand to remove Manawanui and Samoa are ongoing. Also,
I was a bit hesitant to go on a show like this, but with strong encouragement from my wife, I decided to, just have a crack.
Pacific singers stun judges on hit show The Voice, and Samoa's hanging by a thread to make the Cricket World Cup. In Samoa, compensation payouts for the Manawanui wreckage remains a major talking point. The New Zealand Navy ship ran aground on a reef off the south coast of Upolu last year and sank. New Zealand paid $6 million New Zealand dollars to the Samoa government over it, but communities are yet to see any money. I spoke to New Zealand Foreign Minister Vauwasa Manaia Winston Peters. Tell me your involvement in the Manawanui settlement.
Well, the reality is that when Fiame was the Prime Minister, we came to an agreement, but of course at that time there was going to be an election, getting ready for a possible change of government. But we responded to their request in full and with good faith. We recognise the impact and disruption of the sinking vessel. We work with Samoa still in terms of minimising the environmental impacts, and that's where we are at the moment. When
you were talking to Fiame Minister, did Samoa request specifically for $6 million New Zealand dollars?
I can't say how we arrived at the figure, but I think that's what they asked for and that's what we agreed to.
I understand that the Samoa government is looking to secure more funding, as stated by their Ministry of Work CEO. How much more funding are they wanting, Minister?
Well, again, that's not my understanding, and so I can't answer that question.
If they were to seek more funding, will New Zealand grant their requested amount from Samoa?
Well, how about you reflect on the nature of that question? We don't deal with matters in that way. The fact is we have got an ongoing discussion about minimising environmental impacts, making sure we know what we're talking about. It's fortunate, of course, that the movement of the sea and the movement of the current or the wash of water is very favourable to the remedial work that's going on. So we're not as concerned as we could have been had it had the opposite effect.
Okay, but we spoke to a local just earlier today at Tawhitawala, and he says they're still not able to eat any of the fish or seafood from the coastline where the grounding had happened.
We're eating tinned fish, no more fish, no more seashells. We haven't seen any seashells around.
Do you think that's okay?
Well, again, if I'm talking to other locals, that is not the view that I've got. But as I say, rather than presumptively trying to answer the question, we'll find out exactly the story. I, at the time, went to that village, went there to make sure that I knew what we were looking at and what we were going to be talking about.
Okay, with the locals that you spoke to, did any of them request for the wreckage to be removed?
Not at that time, because we were most concerned about the most critical thing, get rid of the fuel, and that's been what we did. And meanwhile, of course, the shipwreck is actually being embedded in the coral, so to speak, growing around it.
But the locals are saying they want the wreckage to be removed now. What considerations have you given to this?
Well, our considerations with the Samoan government, that's who we're dealing with, government to government. That's how it always has to be treated.
We're going to switch over to this environmental report on the impacts of Manawanui that hasn't been made public. Why is it being kept secret?
Look, you'll have to ask the Minister of Defence that, because it may be they're still being studied by the Samoan government. I can't answer that question. It's not a matter of being covert or secretive about it. It's analysing what we're dealing with. And I think that's probably better explains what's happening here.
Do you think that's good enough?
There's no attempt at secrecy here. We've been transparent, we've been open. Don't forget, we were doing the surveillance there in the interests of the Samoan people, and this terrible tragedy happened, which we massively regret, nobody more than me, because Ron, Mark and I went to enormous trouble to get that boat, and we also had it spec'd up to be the best thing we'd bought for a long time doing that work, not only New Zealand and the islands. So do we feel regret about that? I most certainly do. I'm angry as anything that this happened.
Okay, given that it's been a year since the disaster and people still can't eat fish or eat, do you think an apology to the community would be appropriate?
Well, again, whatever reaction we have will be going through the Samoan government, and as you know, it's a new government, and the Prime Minister is, I think, going to be, the Samoan Prime Minister will be going back to Samoa on the weekend. At that point in time, given he's been laid up and ill, things have been delayed for very understandable reasons.
New Zealand Foreign Minister Vauwasa Manaia Winston Peters on the Manawanui wreckage. The Samoa government says it intends to finalise compensation payments after its budget is approved. It says it wants to pass a budget by the end of October. Pacific artists are making waves on the hit TV show The Voice Australia. Fiji's Joseph Waitakau and Papua New Guinea's Chris Cobb are captivating audiences with powerhouse vocals. Waitakau is in the semi-finals, which will take place this weekend, and Cobb will be cheering him on after being eliminated in the earlier knockout round. Tiana Hexton spoke with both artists.
For both artists, The Voice wasn't just about personal dreams, it was about representation, standing on a global platform and showing what Pacific talent can do. Born in Sydney to Fijian parents, Joseph Waitakau grew up with music everywhere. Despite his background, he admits joining the show wasn't originally part of the plan.
Yeah, I was actually scouted to come on to The Voice. I was a bit hesitant to go on a show like this, but with strong encouragement from my wife and the family, I decided to, just have a crack.
That leap of faith paid off. His blind audition performance of Sam Cooke's A Change Is Gonna Come earned him a coveted 4-chair turn. And family has been at the centre of both men's musical journeys. Chris Cobb, who hails from Bougainville and Morobe province in Papua New Guinea, says his wife and 4 children were at the heart of every note he sang.
My 3-year-old daughter was on the left wing where the family was, and she was so overwhelmed with the lights and the number of people, and so she was crying a lot. And naturally, as a father, I just wanted to go over there to her and give her a cuddle and comfort her. So in my head, I'm like, dude, just sing to your daughter to comfort her.
Pack my bed to no place and no time, no day.
That emotional connection carried through every performance, earning him his own 4-chair turn.
It was a surreal moment. I spaced out. I started to see my little daughter. I started to see my family. I started to see Papua New Guinea. All my wantoks in PNG, they were just in my headspace. I was just in a flow state of emotions. It was well after the performance that I realized, oh my gosh, I've got 4 judges that turned around.
Both singers describe the Voice experience as a journey of self-discovery and storytelling through music. For Waitakau, every round brought new lessons in artistry.
You're trying to find a balance to pay homage to the song and in the battles, complement the other singer, but also showcase what you have. But there is a lot of pressure to kind of not overdo it. If you give too much, that could be your downfall.
Cobb says music has always been more than just sound. It's a vessel for emotion.
Us human beings, we're emotional beings. So if you just give technical and you don't have any feelings, then people won't engage, people won't react. It's always an importance for artists to balance the technical side as well as the emotional delivery of a performance.
I'm still holding on to everything that's dead and gone. I don't want to say goodbye, 'cause this one means forever.
While Cobb was eliminated just shy of the semi-finals, Waitakau says having another Pacific Islander on the show was the cherry on top of the experience.
Having another Pacific brother on the show has been such a great blessing, and to have that journey with someone who is also a family man and just loves his country as well. We resonated so well. For Pacific Islanders, we share a common humor and even just our mind frame behind preparing. It was great to have that with Chris.
Cobb feels the same way, saying his support now lies firmly behind his brother in song.
For my brother Joseph, I would like to say to him that the whole of Pacific is looking at him with a lot of pride. Both of us walked. I fell short, but he's gone in and he's got a couple more steps to go. But regardless of what the outcome is, we're all so proud of him because every step represents our story, our voices, our energy, our love, our spirit.
The Voice Australia semi-finals, in which Joseph Weathercall will be competing, takes place this Friday, October the 17th. The recorded episodes airs on Sundays at 7 p.m. on Australia's Channel 7 and 7+.
Oh, baby, let's stay together.
RNZ Pacific's Tiana Hexton with that report. From Port Moresby to Oman, it's a big weekend of sport for Pacific teams and fans. I'm joined by our senior sports journalist, Iliesa Tora, to hear what's happening. Bula Iliesa.
Bula binaka, Susana.
I'm going to jump in and start with my favourite, the Rugby League Pacific Championships. I know we have the Kiwi Ferns, Whetu Samoa, Tō Samoa and the Kiwis this upcoming Sunday. But for the Pacific Bowl matches, who will be playing?
Yes, the Pacific Bowl competition will actually kick off the whole Pacific Championships in Rugby League. And on Saturday in Port Moresby, it's where that will roll off with the bowl competition in the women's, where the PNG Orchids will meet the Cook Islands Moana, and then the Fiji Bati taking on Cook Islands I2 in the first of the men's competition. So that's when the actual Pacific Championship kicks off, and then on Sunday, of course, it moves to Auckland, where the Kiwis are going to be hosting Tō Samoa and Whetu Samoa, taking on Kiwi Ferns.
Who are you most excited to watch?
Well, I for one believe that Tō Samoa and the Kiwis are going to be the future match of this weekend. Just because there's been so much hype. There's so much hype around the NRL players moving, opting out of New Zealand, opting out of Australia, and playing for their origin team. So I'm excited to go out there and see how Tō Samoa goes against the Kiwis.
Do you reckon Tō Samoa have a good chance at beating the Kiwis? Because I remember the last time that Tō Samoa played Kiwis back in 2023. I mean, they received a thumping from Kiwis. It was 50-0. So what do you reckon this game, how will it turn out for Tō Samoa or the Kiwis?
Well, a lot of things have changed. A lot of things have changed in saying that, there's a lot of now more experienced players who are now playing for Tō Samoa, for instance. You have players who've been there previously, Jeremy Luai, Junior Paolu, Brian Tō, you have Payne Haas, you have Roger Tuivasa-Sheck in there, and of course the veteran Josh Papali'i returning to play for Tō Samoa. And the Kiwis have a number of players who didn't play last year but played in 2023. So that makes it interesting to see how these players who've been mates in the NRL competition, and some playing against each other for different clubs, and now going to be playing against each other for their national teams.
Let's head to basketball in Honiara. There's been quite a bit of action in the past few days. What's happening there?
Yes, the FIBA Melanesian Cup competition has been hosted by the Solomon Islands in Honiara, right? And that involves both the men and the women's team. The story out of Honiara at the moment is that Papua New Guinea, with both their men and their women's team, looks set to win the competition or top the competition after the round-robin matches. That just give you some indication of how things have been going. Papua New Guinea have won all 3 of their matches so far. So have their men's team, who have come through their past 3 games undefeated. On Wednesday, Papua New Guinea defeated Fiji 53-37. And in the men's competition, PNG adds New Caledonia 77-74. There have been wins by, Fiji, Vanuatu, Solomons, one win each in the 2 different competitions, but PNG have dominated. The winners of the women and the men's competition from this Melanesian Cup will then qualify for the 2027 Pacific Games in Tahiti. So that's a lot to play for, and will be interesting to find out how the rest of the matches happen. It will round off on Friday afternoon.
Okay, now to cricket, where the ICC T20 World Cup qualifier tournament is just about to wrap up in Oman. Samoa is fighting for one of the 3 available spots for next year's World Cup. Do you have some good news for Samoa fans?
Unfortunately, I do not have good news for Samoa fans or Pacifica fans for that, because so far Samoa has played 2 games and they've lost both. But the good news is they still have a chance to qualify as one of the 3 teams if they win the rest of their matches. So bad and good, but there's still a chance.
All right, Samoa fans, I hope you heard that. We've still got hope. Okay, so what will the team have to do now in order to qualify?
Yes, they have Qatar and Nepal to play in their last 2 games. Qatar and Nepal are both strong teams. Nepal, incidentally, lead the competition. They have 3 wins so far. And Japan, Oman, and Qatar have 1 each. Samoa needs to beat Qatar and needs to beat Nepal. If they do that, they will get a top 3 spot. If they win one of the games, they can still get in, but then it will come down to points average and see how all the other 4 teams apart from Nepal or 5 teams apart from Nepal fare on the points table.
No pressure, Samoa. No pressure. Vinaka Iliesa, that's Iliesa Tora, our senior sports journalist with our sports wrap. That's Pacific Waves for today. For all episodes, head over to rnz.co.nz/Pacific. We're also on Spotify, Apple and iHeartRadio. From myself and the RNZ Pacific team, tō whā soifua.